adequate soil testing is the genesis of nutrient management. And nutrient management, of course, should be considered in the context of the land use, what the crops that may be grown on the land, be they cash crops or fodder crops, the demands of those crops, and the consequent nutrient replacement by animals that may graze fodder crops. And that's the basis of nutrient management, to begin with a soil test.
So the very first thing to do is to make sure that you identify blocks on the farm which are indicators of general practice on the farm. Paddocks that might fit within one grazing management regime, paddocks that have different soil types, paddocks that have had different fertiliser history. The information from those blocks is required to calculate different rates of fertiliser that need to be applied to the farm. These are the modern soil sampling tools that you'll need: a handheld GPS unit and the soil corer. The GPS unit is to mark the positions in the paddock where you take the soil tests from, so that you can obtain a uniform set of soil samples from the paddock, and soil corer, and you'll take a 3-inch core, which is the soil sampling depth for pasture.
Well, the system we have on place on the Lincoln Dairy Farm involves, first of all, an intensive soil sampling program. So we soil sample annually. We have a total of 18 transects or lines set up with GPS right across the farm, and we return to these transects every year and soil sample them in June.
Well, nutrient budgeting is one of the sort of fundamentals of farming today, primarily because it's one of the big inputs, big costs of farming, and past practice over past decades has been a bit casual and wasteful. There are significant opportunities for farmers to improve the efficiency of their operation, make more money, and have less of an impact on the environment simply from nutrient management.
A farmer should use Overseer because it helps you assess the flow of nutrients at a whole farm level. Now, the advantage of this is twofold essentially. You can increase your fertiliser use optimisation and improve your environmental performance. Overseer will save farmers money by assessing what is actually required by the plant to grow to its optimum production, and reducing the need for excess nutrients, which will become surplus and become an environmental risk.
The advantages in using Overseer, there's a number of them. So one, they get an estimate of their nutrient requirements on farm in terms of the fertiliser requirements. They get an estimate of their potential impacts of their farm system on the environment, and can look at sort of practices that may reduce that, so whether that's nitrogen leaching to waterways or phosphorus runoff. And they can also get an estimate of the greenhouse gas emissions from farm, which may become more important for them over the next decade with the current regulations. The model was developed in a way that the inputs to it are readily obtained from farm information, and so there isn't any difficulty in getting information to go into it. There is some complexity in running the model, and so in doing so it can be used by farmers, but ideally is used by trained people such as technical representatives of fertiliser companies. Some of the key inputs are animal production, such as milk solids per hectare, or lamb, live weights for sale, and changes in stock weights over time. So it's to get an estimate of the amount of feed intake to drive production is a key component within the model. So as well as that, there is also fertiliser inputs, soil test information, and they're probably the main ones. Some site information such as rainfall, slope of land, soils. Soil testing is a key in that it determines the status of a site and therefore the amount of nutrients that are calculated by the model for fertiliser requirements for production over time. Anyone can download Overseer from the AgResearch website. It's readily available there, or if they have difficulty from that, they can contact MAF and they can send them a CD with the model on it.
Yes, we've developed 2 courses here at Massey in conjunction with FertResearch, an intermediate course and advanced course, and they're both aimed at rural professionals who are engaged in the fertiliser recommendations. Well, since we've been running these courses now for 5 years, since 2002, we've issued certificates to 540 graduates of the intermediate course and over 100 from the advanced course. We focus on production issues, but with a strong emphasis on the implications for environmental impacts of different management practices.
Nutrient management is a very important component of the economic side of farming. But if you look, for example, at a supermarket, what does a supermarket do when it buys goods? It keeps a record of what it's buying. When you check out, there's a barcode, it keeps a record of what's going out. And that's how it manages its business, knowing what's coming in, what's going out. And what we're saying to farmers, that's the principle that farmers could use in terms of nutrients. They know the nutrients coming in, they know the nutrients going out, they get a good idea of what is happening on their farm, how many nutrients or how much nutrient is available, and how efficiently they're using that nutrient. So nutrient budgeting is just, I suppose you could say, a smart term for just managing their nutrients in a very business-like manner. And the advantage is there is also environmental benefit to that. So it's one of the, what people say, a win-win situation. It's good business practice and it has benefits for the environment.
We use FertMark fertilisers because in today's economic environment, every dollar counts and you have to know what you're buying and what's going on your land. And with FertMark, we know this.
FertMark is a quality assurance scheme that is really designed to do 2 things. One is specify the nutritive value of the products being spread, and the second is to describe the physical characteristics. Farmers want to know that they're buying a product and they're getting exactly what they're paying for. So with FertMark, you know that nutritive value declared is the nutritive value that you get.
Okay, what we really need to do is to get a good uniform application at the right rate. A lot of our studies have shown that it's actually on dairy pasture it's quite difficult for contractors to achieve that, and that's why we've advocated using a quality assurance program like Spreadmark. You have a driver who knows what he's doing, you've got equipment that's been tested, and I think you've got someone who's sort of committed to doing a good job. Don't be tempted into saving a few cents on your spreader costs, that actually getting a good job from a reliable contractor is actually important, and it's putting dollars back onto the farm rather than saving a few cents. And it's really important to get that message across to farmers that doing a good job year in, year out is actually pretty important in terms of the overall well-being of the farm.
Because the fertiliser for the farmer today is quite an expensive item, it's their biggest single expense, and to optimise the gain out of that big expenditure is to get it spread as evenly as possible. Gear is tested and the driver is trained to know how to set his gear to get that optimum spreading. There's dollars lost by not having fertiliser spread evenly.
FertMark and Spreadmark are parts of a total package that enable a farmer today to manage their nutrients as well as can be done. And for most farmers, that's enough, and it's all that can be expected. Without those things, there's far too much guesswork to be able to manage something that's so crucial.
By soil testing, nutrient managing, and using FertMark and SpreadMark, we have healthy animals, pastures and crops, which gives us a better return on our farming investment. By using a nutrient management program, we get good quality without wasting money.